Hi everyone, welcome back to my little spooky corner of the internet. I'm using a new mic today, so I apologise if the sound is terrible, but there's not a whole lot I can really do about that. I don't really know where to actually put it. Where should I put it? Maybe I should go like this and put it on here. I don't know, is that good? Who knows? Anyway, I am really excited about this one today, and I know I say it every time and I say that every time, but I am so excited because I love the 9 Herbs charm. So I love doing the research for this because I've always wanted to really get into the 9 Herbs charm and into the nitty gritty and figure out exactly what it's all about. So let's get into it. So before I start, if you're new here, I would love to have you like and subscribe and press the notification bell so that you never miss a video from me. Here we talk about all things occult and poetry. So if you're into spookiness, if you're into the occult, or if you're into poetry, then make sure that you subscribe for more. So the 9 Herbs charm is found in the Lacnunga. I apologise for my pronunciation, I've only ever seen it written down, but the Lacnunga is a 10th century manuscript which basically is a compilation of lots of different herbal remedies. Some of it is written in Old English, some of it is in Latin, I believe, and some of it is also written in Old Irish. So the 9 Herbs charm features in this collection. The 9 Herbs charm, basically, as it kind of says on the tin, contains descriptions of 9 different herbs and their magical properties. So in Anglo Saxon England, which is where the 9 Herbs charm originates, the boundary between medicine and magic was very much blurred. So as well as the medicinal properties of herbs being acknowledged and used, they would also perform ritual and look at the magical properties of herbs and the sympathetic nature of herbs in order to cure and heal. So it was a very all-encompassing, the lines were very blurred between magic and medicine, and the 9 Herbs charm is a really wonderful example of this amalgamation taking place. Now, the exact nature of the 9 Herbs charm is much debated within academia and between historians, and we are not 100% sure exactly what it is because we don't really have too much context for it, we just have the words. We basically are left to infer from the words and from the meanings and from the historical context that we do have exactly what it could mean. So what I'm going to do in this video is talk about 3 possible theories, and I would love to hear in the comments below which theory you think is the most likely, if you think some of them are complete rubbish, and we'll just open a bit of a dialogue and I'd love to have your thoughts on the matter. So the original manuscript of the 9 Herbs charm is actually housed in the British Museum, and the number here is Harley 585, so not number, is referred to as Harley 585. So if you do want to have a look at it, I'll leave the link in the description below, and I will also link all of my other resources that I've used in the description as well. So if you want to kind of research this a bit more for yourself, then you can. Now, there are loads more resources than the ones that I've used, but these are a couple of books that I'll show you now. So the first one that I actually used is this, Old English Medical Remedies, Mandrake, Wormwood and Raven's Eye, and I really love this book. I think honestly, I almost cry while I'm reading it. I love it that much. And this is by Sinead Spearing, and I would like to give her particular thanks because she has been instrumental in the formation of this video. I would also like to thank Alaric Albertsson who wrote The Handbook of Saxon Sorcery and Magic, Wordworking, runecraft, divination and warp cunning. And this is another book that is just so valuable. If you want to know about Saxon sorcery and magic, then of course this is a brilliant book to go to. So I did the bulk of my research from those books, and I've also done lots of internet researching, so I'll leave the links to things down below. So the 3 theories that I'm going to be running with are: number 1, that the 9 herbs charm is a cure for a snake bite. The second theory is that the 9 herbs charm is a potion, a recipe for a concoction that can be used basically as a Anglo Saxon version of Savlon. That's me saying that. That's not, that's not come from anyone else. That's my stupidness. But yeah, it's basically kind of a cure-all, something that you put on a multitude of different kinds of wounds, and it's just a great all-round cure for disease or poison or venom. And the third and the most exciting, interesting and mystical, but kind of out there theory actually comes from Spearing in her book. And that is that it's some sort of flying potion as part of a larger sort of initiation ceremony. So, I think what we should do first is probably read all 63 lines of the 9 herbs charm, and then I'll go into the theories. So, sit back, get a brew. I'm going to have a sip of mine because I've already been talking too much. For 17 minutes? I can't have been. No, it's been 10 minutes. Oh, gosh. This cup is stunning, by the way. It's from the Bronte Parsonage Museum. You can see I've spilt tea all down it. Yeah, so that's disgusting. But anyway, it says, "Reading is my favourite occupation," which is a quote by Anne Bronte. And it's just like the sweetest little, and it's a nice big cup as well. So if you like a good size brew. Anyway, I'm reading from Old English Medical Remedies because it has the entirety of the 9 herbs charm, and it has it in both Modern English and Old English. So I'm really hoping one day to be able to read the Old English version. So if I can, I will record that for you. But for today, we'll go with Modern English. Remember, mugwort, what you made known, what you arranged at the great proclamation. You were called Una, the oldest of herbs. You have power against 3 and against 30. You are mighty against poison and against disease. You have power against the loathsome foe roving through the land. And you, Plantain, herb's mother, open from the east, mighty inside. Over you chariots creaked, over you queens rode. Over you brides cried out, over you bulls snorted. You withstood them all, and crashed against them. May you withstand poison and infection, and the hateful foe roving through the land. Crash is the name of this herb. It grew on a stone. It stands up against poison. It dashes against pain. Nettle it is called. It withstands against poison. It drives out the hostile one, and casts out poison. This is the herb that fought against the snake. It has power against poison. It has power against infection. She stands against the hateful foe going through the land. Put to flight now, vipers, bugloss. The greater poisons, the nightmare is the lessened, until you have the advantage. Be mindful, chamomile, what you made known, what you accomplished, a Talof order. That never a man should lose his life from infection after chamomile was prepared for his food. This is the herb that is called wergulu. Oh, wergulu. Wergulu, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. A seal sent it across the sea right, a vexation to poison, a help to others. These 9 have power against 9 poisons. A snake came crawling. It tore nothing. Then Woden took 9 glory twigs. He smote the serpent that it flew apart into 9 parts. There the apple accomplished it against poison, that she, the serpent, would never dwell in the house. Chervil and Fennel, the mighty 2, they were created by the wise Lord. Holy in heaven as he hung, he set and sent them to 7 worlds, to the wretched and the fortune, as a help to all. It stands against pain. It dashes against poison. It has power against 3 and against 30, against the hand of a fiend and against noble devices, against the charm of vile creatures. Now these 9 herbs have power against 9 evil spirits, against 9 poisons and against 9 infections, against the red poison, against the foul poison, against the white poison, against the blue poison, against the yellow poison, against the green poison, against the dark poison, against the blue poison, against the brown poison, against the red poison, against worm blister, against water blister, against thorn blister, against thistle blister, against ice blister, against poison blister, against harmfulness of the air, against harmfulness of the ground, against harmfulness of the sea. If any poison comes flying from the east, or any from the north, or any from the south, or any from the west among the people, Christ stood over diseases of every kind. I alone know a running stream, and the 9 adders beware of it. May all the weeds spring up from their roots, the seas slip apart, all salt water, when I this poison blow from you. Mugwort, plantain open form the east, lamb's crest, venom loather, chamomile, nettle, crabapple, chervil and fennel. Old soap, pound the herbs into a powder, mix them with the soap and the juice of an apple. Then prepare a paste of water and of ashes. Take fennel, boil it with the paste and wash it with a beaten egg when you apply the salve, both before and after. Sing this 3 times on each of the herbs before you prepare them, and likewise on the apple. And sing the same charm into the mouth of the man and into both his ears, and on the wound before you apply the salve. So that's the 9 herbs charm in its entirety. It must be noted as well that in the Old English it would have been far more poetic, it would have had alliteration, it would have just been far more beautiful and flowing, but I think that the modern English still packs a really nice punch. It's also interesting to note that there has obviously been some Christianisation of the 9 herbs charm, as you can see in both the references to Christ and the old Germanic god Woden. This is interesting in a anthropological and religious studies sense, so I'm not going to necessarily get too far into that today because it's a separate video completely on its own, is that. So we've got mugwort, plantain, lamb's cress, nettle. Now this is either cockspur grass or betony, we're not sure which one it is. We've got mayweed, crabapple, thyme or chervil and fennel. We shall start off with the first theory, and that is that the 9 herbs charm is a remedy for a snake bite. Now, it's very interesting that this theory probably in part came around as sort of a spelling error. So in the poem it describes a snake and that he bit non. Now non would have been nan in Old English, and this has been misspelled or misrepresented as man. So a lot of people came to the conclusion and copied the translation that said a snake bit a man rather than he bit none. So that's one place where this theory has come from. The other more obvious reason for this theory is obviously because there are a lot of mentions and a lot of descriptions of poison and how each plant can fend off poison. So it makes complete sense. And then if you add in this snake imagery, you would think, oh right, snake bite, snake bit, and all these things are, you know, poison repellent. Of course, this is the remedy for a snake bite. I also found this very interesting bit in Albertsson's Handbook of Sorcery, Handbook of Saxon Sorcery and Magic. Oh gosh. So Plantain, one of the herbs in the 9 herbs charm, is known for protection against snake bites when you carry the root with you. And this is a form of sympathetic magic rather than just straight herbalism. So plantain's tiny flowers rise up on thin stalks resembling small serpents rearing their heads. I'll put a picture somewhere if I can find one. So this appearance gives plantain another common name, which is snakeweed. So that obviously really lends itself to the idea that the 9 herbs charm is a remedy for a snake bite. However, because of this spelling error, it does change the entire meaning of the poem, really. If the snake didn't bite anyone, then why would it be a remedy for a snake bite? And another reason why this theory might not quite hold weight is because it doesn't say that Woden will kill the snake, it says he already has. So Woden has already taken up his 9 glory twigs and killed the snake, so why would the snake still be a threat? This leads very nicely into the second theory, which kind of rides on the back of this theory that snakes were often used as a metaphor for disease. Woden has power over disease, and with these 9 herbs, with his 9 glory twigs, which were probably rune staves or carved with runes, Odin, and therefore you, if you invoke him and invoke these herbs through this elaborate kind of ritual, have mastery over disease. This is probably the theory that makes the most sense to me. In Anglo Saxon England, magic and medicine were so intertwined that it would make complete sense for something as elaborate and flowery as this to be a remedy for any kind of disease. And this is really supported by the section in the 9 herbs charm where they describe all the different directions and the different colours. So now these 9 herbs have power against 9 evil spirits, 9 poisons, 9 infections, the red, the foul, the white, the blue, the yellow, the green, dark, blue, brown, red, worm blister, water blister, thorn blister, thistle blister, ice blister, poison blister, anything from the north, south, the east, the west, against harmfulness of air, of ground, of sea. So yeah, that heavily supports the theory that this is a cure-all to me. At the end of the poem, we see that after describing all of these herbs, they then go on to tell you how to prepare them. So you prepare a paste of water and ashes, take fennel, boil it with the paste, and wash it with a beaten egg when you apply it before and after. Sing this 3 times on each of the herbs before you prepare them and on the apple, and sing the same charm into the mouth of the man and into both his ears and on the wound before you apply the salve. So really, yeah, it just seems like this is something that for any ailment you might have, do this, and yeah, chances are one of the things will work for you. The argument against this, of course, is that it's a very elaborate and very intense ritual for minor wounds and cuts. Like, you would only really use this, surely, if it was for something that was like very deadly and very dangerous. So if it's something that's like a cure-all, like Savlon, you want something that's just easy to, like, kind of quickly do. You don't want to have to go through hanging upside down on the world tree and travelling to another dimension to solve something like a nettle sting or something, So this would be reserved for things that were quite bad. And then if it was for something that was quite deadly and life-threatening, you would think that instead of a cure-all, you would want something a bit more specific. But if it works, then it works. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm really interested in this theory. So the third and final theory that I shall talk about today is the theory that the 9 herbs charm is a recipe for a flying potion as part of a large initiation ritual. So of course this one is far more mysterious and mystical and kind of interesting. I don't know, is it far-fetched, is it not? Again, let me know down below what you think of this one. I kind of love it. So in case you don't know what a flying potion is, it's basically a concoction that is well documented to have been used to aid in ritual and shamanic transformations. So it's said that it would induce hallucinations and you would feel like you were flying. Odin is said to have used it while kind of to aid his shape-shifting. It's documented in the sagas and many old stories of the time. It could also be what's responsible for the later witchcraft hysteria because of the, witches flying on brooms and all that kind of thing. So, flying potion is basically a hallucinogenic potion that one would take and have all sorts of trippy experiences, basically. So, yeah. There are lots of different ways that you can make flying potion, and the original recipe is not known, but it's thought that perhaps these 9 herbs could come together in a way that created a similar effect, shall we say. Beginning with mugwort. Mugwort is a psychedelic, it makes you hallucinate. Makes sense. And then we have chamomile. Now, chamomile could work as a sedative to relax you and to take away some of the anxiety of the situation, to ensure that you have a more relaxing and positive hallucinatory experience than you may do if you just took mugwort on its own. Although, in very large doses, chamomile can also be a hallucinogenic, so it just depends how much you put in there. So I'm just going to read from my laptop here. So Ataloth, that can be translated as either black nightshade or betony. So betony was used to ward off evil, which of course is useful when hallucinating. If you're going for a powerful religious experience, you want to be very sure, especially one in a mind-altered state, you want to make sure that it's all kept as kind of positive as it can. You don't want to have a bad trip. So having something with you that will symbolically or actually ward off evil is a good idea. Nightshade, on the other hand, is said to bring knowledge of death. So if the flying potion were used within a larger initiatory ritual, then a symbolic death and rebirth is likely to be a part of this. So it makes sense to have something in there that symbolises the death aspect and allows you to rise and come out of the other side, a bit like the Judgment or the Death tarot card. Similarly to this, thyme is a plant that would help the soul to move into the other world, which again would aid in this symbolic death and rebirth, and also to help with an altered state of consciousness. And again, like this, we have fennel, which also guards against evil and promotes immortality. It's also very important and interesting to remember that the singing of the incantation particularly in the original Old English, would have done a lot to induce an altered state of consciousness, even on its own. It would have been very, very rhythmic and very sort of chant-like, going deeper and deeper and deeper into a trance-like state. And also hearing about Odin's journey and Odin's initiation ritual while having your own initiation ritual would have been an incredibly powerful experience, especially if you had taken these herbs as well. So all in all, it does sound like a very intense and very amazing experience if this is indeed what the Nine Herbs charm is used for. Now, where this theory begins to fall apart a bit for me is at the end of the poem, where it talks about making a salve with all of the ingredients and applying it to a wound. Now, I have a bit of a ridiculous theory about this, which is almost definitely not true, and legit historians are probably like screaming at, or will be screaming at their computers, but flying potion was often taken in a suppository form. So, wound could possibly be a reference to that. And that's all I'm going to say on that matter. But it could, you never know. And it's fun to talk about these things. And speculation is all part of getting closer to the truth, as long as you don't automatically assume that every thought that sort of makes sense is the gospel truth. It's really fun and interesting and useful to spend time just speculating, and you never know, the most ridiculous and strange seeming thing could be the truth. So, you know. So, they are the theories on what the Nine Herbs charm is, what it does, what it was originally used for. So, I found it very interesting researching further into the Nine Herbs charm, and my channel is going to focus definitely more on occult poetry from now on. So if you love it, then please like and subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, leave a comment. Bye bye.